The rain had always been Elena's companion. It whispered against cracked windows, drummed on tin roofs, and blurred the city lights she could never quite reach. At 23, she had grown used to it, the endless storm of poverty, loneliness, and survival. Her world was small, a cramped attic apartment that smelled of damp wood, a drawer that held 2 worn dresses, and a cafe job where she spent long shifts serving lattes to strangers who barely looked at her. But Elena was used to blending into the background. It was safer that way. Until the day he walked in. Adrian Blackwood. The first time she saw him, she nearly dropped the coffee pot. He didn't belong in their shabby little cafe with its squeaky stools and chipped counters. His presence was electric, commanding. Dark tailored suit, sharp eyes, and the quiet confidence of someone who owned the ground he walked on. Elena recognized him immediately. How could she not? His face appeared in magazines and newspapers, always accompanied by headlines about billion-dollar mergers or philanthropic galas. He was the CEO of Blackwood Enterprises, a man who built empires. And yet, he ordered nothing more than black coffee. The next day, he returned. And the next. At first, she thought it was coincidence. But soon, she noticed the way his gaze lingered when she smiled shyly, the way he asked small questions, what book she was reading, whether she drew in the sketchpad she carried, how she managed the late shifts without looking exhausted. She wasn't sure when their conversations shifted from polite to personal. Perhaps it was the evening he noticed the tear in her shoe and asked, without judgment, if she needed help. She laughed it off, but his eyes softened in a way that made her heart stutter. For the first time in years, someone saw her. It was terrifying, and exhilarating. Their worlds were different universes, yet somehow, they collided. One night, after work, Adrian was waiting outside. His luxury car gleamed beneath the streetlights, but his voice was quiet, almost hesitant. "May I drive you home?" She should have refused. She should have remembered the gulf between them. But instead, she nodded, and her life was never the same. Over the weeks, their connection deepened. Adrian, beneath his polished exterior, was thoughtful, even vulnerable. He listened when she spoke of her late mother, of her childhood dreams of becoming an artist, of the loneliness that sometimes swallowed her whole. And he shared pieces of himself too, the pressure of leading a corporation, the constant scrutiny, the loneliness of success. They became each other's refuge. But Elena always felt the unspoken truth pressing against her happiness. She was a poor girl in a borrowed world. No matter how much he cared, she could never belong in his life of glass towers and boardrooms. Her fears were confirmed one afternoon. She arrived at Adrian's penthouse earlier than usual, intending to surprise him. The housekeeper, startled but kind, let her in. Elena wandered toward his study to leave a note, when she heard voices. "You can't keep this up, Adrian," a man was saying. His tone was clipped, businesslike. Elena froze by the door. "She's just a distraction. Do you know what the board will say when they discover the CEO of Blackwood Enterprises is parading around with a cafe waitress? You'll lose credibility. Our investors don't want a scandal." Her chest tightened. Adrian's voice cut through, steady and firm. "Don't talk about her that way. She matters to me." For a moment, hope flickered. But then the man pressed harder. "You're risking everything. If she really cared for you, she'd leave. Think, Adrian, do you want your empire to collapse over a girl who has nothing?" The words pierced her, like knives. Elena backed away, her hands trembling, tears burning her eyes. She didn't stay to hear Adrian's reply. She couldn't. That night, as Adrian texted asking where she was, she stared at the screen with shaking fingers. She wanted to answer, to run to him, to believe love was enough. But the man's words echoed in her mind. If she stayed, she would ruin him. So she disappeared. She changed her number, quit her job, moved into a cheap room across town, and started over. She worked odd shifts, washed dishes, babysat, anything to keep herself afloat. And when she discovered she was pregnant, she wept, half with fear, half with a strange, aching joy. She wanted to tell him. Every day, she almost did. But then she remembered the partner's voice, cold and cruel. If she really cared for you, she'd leave. So she carried her secret alone. The months blurred. Her son, Noah, was born on a stormy night, his cries fragile but determined. From the moment she held him, she knew he was her reason to fight. He had Adrian's dark eyes, his stubborn set of jaw. He was a piece of the love she had lost, and the only thing that made her feel whole again. But Noah was frail. He needed treatments, checkups, medicine Elena could barely afford. She worked until her hands blistered, pawned her mother's locket, skipped meals to save money. Still, the bills piled up. 1 year after she had walked away from Adrian, her world shifted again. She was at St. Mary's Children's Hospital, rocking Noah gently as he drifted to sleep after another test, when the doctor approached. "Elena, drive," Harris said softly. "I know you're trying your best, but these treatments are ongoing. Without consistent support, his health will be at risk. Do you have anyone, family, friends, who could help financially?" Elena shook her head, shame flooding her. The doctor hesitated. "We checked the emergency contact list you provided when Noah was admitted." One of the names stood out. Adrian Blackwood. "Is that the father?" Elena's breath caught. She had written his name in a moment of desperation, never expecting it to matter. Before she could protest, "Drive," Harris said. "We'll contact him. It's important." "No, wait," Elena began, but it was too late. In his glass-walled office, Adrian Blackwood stared at the skyline, numb. A year had passed, and still he thought of her. Elena, the girl with shy smiles and stubborn resilience. The girl who had vanished without a word, leaving him hollow. His phone buzzed. An unknown number. He almost ignored it. "Mr. Blackwood," a woman's voice said. "This is Dr. Harris from St. Mary's Children's Hospital. We need to speak with you regarding a patient connected to you." Her name is Elena Rivers. Adrian sat up, his pulse racing. "Elena, she's been bringing in a little boy for treatment. His condition requires long-term support. You were listed as the emergency contact." "A boy." Adrian's grip on the phone tightened. "How old?" 11 months. The room spun. 11 months. Exactly the time since Elena left. Within the hour, Adrian was at the hospital. His driver barely kept up as he strode through the corridors, heart hammering in his chest. Then he saw her. Elena sat in a plastic chair, cradling a baby against her shoulder. Her hair was pulled back, her face pale with exhaustion, but to him, she was radiant. And the child turned curious dark eyes toward him, eyes that mirrored his own. Adrian froze. His son. Elena looked up, shock widening her eyes. "Adrian," her voice broke. He approached slowly, as though afraid she might vanish again. His gaze locked on the baby. "Is he?" She nodded, tears spilling. "His name is Noah." For a moment, silence hung heavy, broken only by the soft hum of machines. Adrian's voice trembled. "Why didn't you tell me?" Elena clutched Noah tighter, shame and sorrow flooding her. "I found out after I left. I wanted to come back, I swear, but then I remembered what your partner said, that I'd ruin you, that I didn't belong. I thought you'd be better off without us." Adrian's jaw tightened, fury and anguish warring inside him. He knelt before her, his hand brushing Noah's tiny fist. "You believed him over me. Elena, you were never a ruin. You were the only thing that made my life real. And this child, our child, I should have been here from the start." Her sobs broke loose. "I was scared. I didn't know what else to do." He reached up, gently wiping her tears. "Don't apologize. Just don't leave again. Let me take care of you both. Please." Noah whimpered softly, and Adrian carefully gathered him into his arms. The baby was small, fragile, but the weight was immense: responsibility, love, destiny. For the first time in years, Adrian felt whole. That night, he arranged everything: private care, the best specialists, financial security. But more than that, he stayed. He canceled meetings, ignored calls, refused to leave their side. Days turned into weeks, and the hospital no longer felt like a place of fear. It became the beginning of a new chapter. Elena, though hesitant, began to trust again. And Adrian, once a man consumed by empire, discovered what truly mattered. One evening, as Noah slept peacefully, Adrian held Elena close by the window. The city lights shimmered below, but he only saw her. "Do you know what I thought when you disappeared?" he murmured. She shook her head. "I thought I'd lost my future. But now I know, you are my future. Both of you, and I'm never letting go again." Tears filled her eyes, but this time, they were tears of hope. The poor girl who once believed she had nothing had found everything: a love that endured, a child who united them, and a home in the heart of the man she thought she'd lost. And the CEO who once measured life in power and wealth discovered that true success was found not in empires, but in family. Together, against all odds, they chose love. The rain never stopped in Elena Rivers' world. It pooled in broken sidewalks, trickled through the roof of her attic apartment, and seemed to seep into her bones. At 23, Elena had learned to live with storms, poverty, loneliness, and the quiet ache of dreams she could never afford. Her life was simple, almost invisible. She worked at a cafe with peeling paint and a flickering sign, surviving on tips that barely covered rent. She owned 2 faded dresses, a pair of scuffed shoes, and a sketchpad she carried everywhere, filling its pages with drawings of places she might never see. And then, one evening, he walked in. Adrian Blackwood. She recognized him instantly. His name dominated the news. CEO of Blackwood Enterprises, the empire builder who could bend markets with a signature. He looked out of place in the shabby cafe, his tailored suit glowing under the dim lights, his presence magnetic. Elena expected him to leave quickly. But instead, he ordered black coffee, and returned the next day. And the day after. At first, their conversations were polite. But soon, he lingered to ask about her drawings, her favorite books, the way she managed late shifts without collapsing. His gaze softened whenever she smiled shyly. Elena tried to keep her distance, but her heart betrayed her. Adrian, beneath the power and polish, was kind. Gentle. He listened when she spoke of her late mother, of her fear of being forgotten, of her longing for more. And he shared pieces of himself too, his exhaustion, the loneliness of success, the walls he built around his heart. They grew closer. One night, after her shift, he waited outside and asked softly, "May I drive you home?" She should have refused, but instead, she nodded, and her life changed. Their relationship blossomed in secret. Adrian was her miracle, her safe place, her proof that maybe she wasn't destined for a life of invisibility. She told herself it didn't matter that she was poor and he was powerful. Love, she thought, could bridge the gap. But love couldn't silence the world. One afternoon, Elena arrived at Adrian's penthouse earlier than expected. She meant to surprise him, to leave a note in his study. But as she approached, she overheard voices through the half-open door. "You can't be serious, Adrian," a man's voice said, sharp with disapproval. It was Adrian's business partner. "You're jeopardizing everything. The board will never accept her." Imagine the headlines: "Our CEO entangled with a cafe waitress." Investors will laugh. If she truly cared, she'd step aside before you lose everything. Elena's breath caught, her heart pounding. Adrian's voice came next, firm but weary. "Don't speak of her that way. She means more than you understand." For a moment, hope flickered. But then the man pressed harder. "You've built an empire. Do you want it destroyed by a girl who has nothing? End it, Adrian, for both your sakes." Tears blurred Elena's vision. She didn't stay to hear more. That night, she packed a small bag. She ignored Adrian's calls, his messages, the ache in her chest that screamed to stay. She told herself it was for his good, that if she loved him, she couldn't be the reason he lost everything. And so she vanished. Weeks turned into months. She survived on odd jobs, washing dishes, cleaning offices, anything to keep herself afloat. But when she discovered she was pregnant, the world shifted again. Fear clawed at her, but so did a fierce determination. She carried her child alone, through sleepless nights and endless worry. And when Noah was born, tiny, fragile, with Adrian's dark eyes, she wept. He was her anchor, her proof of love, her reason to keep fighting. But Noah's health was delicate. Hospital visits became routine, bills mounted, and Elena's body ached from exhaustion. She pawned her mother's locket, skipped meals, and whispered promises to her son that somehow, she would make it work. She thought she could keep her secret forever. Until, 1 year later, fate intervened. Part 2. The call from the hospital. Adrian Blackwood sat in his glass-walled office, staring out at the city skyline he ruled. His empire had grown stronger in the past year, but victory felt hollow. Success had no taste when the one thing he truly wanted had vanished. Elena. Her name haunted him. She had disappeared without a word, leaving him with questions that gnawed at his soul. He had searched quietly, but found nothing. Some nights, he wondered if she had ever loved him at all. His phone buzzed. An unfamiliar number. He almost ignored it. "Mr. Blackwood," a calm female voice said. "This is Dr. Harris from St. Mary's Children's Hospital. We need to speak with you regarding a patient." Her name is Elena Rivers. Adrian's grip tightened on the phone. "Elena, she's been bringing in a little boy for treatment. His condition requires ongoing support, but she's struggling financially. You were listed as her emergency contact." Adrian's heart pounded. "A boy, yes. He's 11 months old." The world stopped. 11 months. Exactly the time since Elena had left. Within the hour, Adrian was at the hospital, striding through sterile hallways, his pulse racing. Then he saw her. Elena sat in a plastic chair, cradling a baby against her shoulder. Her hair was pulled back, her face pale with exhaustion. The child looked up with curious dark eyes, eyes that mirrored Adrian's own. He froze. His son. Elena looked up, shock flashing in her expression. Adrian. He approached slowly, voice trembling. Is he mine? She nodded, tears spilling. His name is Noah. For a long moment, silence hung heavy, broken only by the soft beep of monitors. Why didn't you tell me? Adrian asked, his voice raw. Elena hugged Noah closer, shame flooding her. I found out after I left. I wanted to return, I swear. But then I remembered what your partner said, that I'd ruin you, that I didn't belong. I thought you'd be better off without us. Adrian knelt in front of her, his hands shaking as he touched Noah's tiny fist. You believed him over me. Elena, you were never a ruin. You were the only thing real in my life. And this child, I should have been here from the beginning. Her sobs broke free. I was scared. I thought love wasn't enough. He reached up, wiping her tears. Love is all that matters. Don't leave again. Let me take care of you both. Please. Noah whimpered, and Adrian gently lifted him into his arms. The baby's small weight carried the weight of destiny. For the first time in years, Adrian felt complete. That night, he arranged everything, specialists, treatment, financial security. But more than that, he stayed. He canceled meetings, silenced his phone, and refused to leave their side. Days turned into weeks. The hospital, once a place of fear, became a new beginning. Elena, though hesitant, began to trust again. And Adrian, once consumed by empire, discovered what truly mattered. One evening, as Noah slept peacefully, Adrian held Elena close by the window. The city lights shimmered, but he only saw her. Do you know what I thought when you disappeared? He murmured. She shook her head. I thought I'd lost my future. But now I know, you are my future. Both of you, and I'll never let go again. Her tears fell, but this time, they were tears of relief. The poor girl who once thought she had nothing had found everything. A family, a love that endured, and a home in the heart of the man she thought she had lost. And the CEO who once measured success in empires discovered that true wealth was found in love. Together, against all odds, they became whole.